Hi, it's Maggie the Irish Gypsy here to bring you your October 2018 mid-month general readings. Thank you for joining us here today and welcome to any newcomers. Yes, I am back in California after 3 months in Europe. I thank you for those of you who continue to follow me. Regardless of where I'm at, I do like to travel quite a bit. I know my California background looks a little different. That's because I moved right before I went to Europe, so I'm still in the process of putting up pictures and things like that. We'll get it all sorted out. So thank you for following me and for all your likes, shares, and subscribes and comments. And thank you to all of my clients out there too, both regular and new, for also following me and continuing to reach out for personal one-on-one readings. I often say it's an honor and a pleasure, and I mean it. It is an honor and pleasure to read for all of you, so thank you. If any of you are interested in a personal one-on-one reading with me, you can get more info and contact details by going to my YouTube channel's homepage and clicking on the little About button, or you can click on the little description bar attached to every video that I post. Please feel free to email me directly at maggie1mcguire@gmail.com. I'd be delighted to work with you and set up a personal reading live or record it as quickly as possible. Turnaround time is pretty rapid because I do readings full-time, 5 to 6 days a week. It is what I do. So I work pretty hard with you and your schedule. So, and I do a wide variety of readings in all areas of life, love and romance, of course, career, work and finance, investment, 6 and 12-month overviews to take a look at what's coming, compatibility charts, reconciliation spreads, and gift readings, as well as channeled messages from loved ones. So if you're interested, send me an email. We'll go from there. For those of you with smartphones or iPads, you can also find me on the smartphone app Instantgo under Irish Gypsy, and that link is also provided. Fast answers for the quick, easy questions. All right, let's move right into this. This reading is for the water sign of Scorpio for the remainder of October 2018. We're looking at the last couple of weeks here. General readings always resonate a little differently for everybody watching, so for additional clarification, if you know your rising and your moon sign, watch those videos as well. Okay, Scorpio, let's see what's in store for you for the remainder of October. We have the Seven of Pentacles, followed by Temperance. We have the Five of Wands, followed by the Four of Cups. And from the bottom of the deck, your overall energy is the Nine of Swords. I'm going to pull you an additional advice card. The King of Swords. Okay, makes sense actually. So Scorpio, it looks like we find ourselves around the middle of the month or so with the Seven of Pentacles and Temperance. It's interesting how many of the signs, all different elemental energies so far for the mid-months, are kind of in the middle of the month with the Seven of Pentacles energy. Seven of Pentacles is a card of reflection, contemplation, taking stock of where you're at, taking stock of what you have, and taking a look at it from the perspective of, okay, this is what I have, this is what I put into it. Should I pick the entire harvest and leave and go do something different? Should I stay and continue to do the exact same things? How do I feel about what I've gotten back for my efforts in something? Should I make changes, etc. It's a card of taking a look around, taking stock of what you have, reflecting on it, and perhaps that might give you it's helpful in looking down the road. Do I stay? Do I go? Do I make changes? Do I continue to invest in this? And what this is going to vary. Some of you, it might be a relationship. Some of you, it might be a job, work, career project. Some of you, it might be family. Some of you, it might be some other kind of project. Or community too. There may be some conflict within a circle of friends or community of some kind. And the challenge is kind of not being too impulsive or spontaneous and kind of keeping your balance and not allowing emotions to drive your decisions and actions over the next couple of weeks, Scorpio. What clarifies the Seven of Pentacles is Temperance, which is all about keeping our balance. Being grounded. I know who I'm at. I know what I'm about. I know what my goals are. I know what I'm grounded. I'm centered. It's like being in the middle of a seesaw or teeter-totter instead of being on the outside ends where you're at the mercy of your own thoughts, doubts, and insecurities. If you're not sure about yourself or where you're going or what your place is in the situation or other people's opinions, etc. Temperance, particularly on a mental, emotional, and psychological place is about being in the center. So no matter what's going on around you, whether you sometimes have doubts or other people are voicing negative opinions, it's about you knowing where you're at and what your truth is and staying grounded in that so you don't lose your balance. So it's about not being emotionally spontaneous or impulsive, not letting your emotions kind of make particularly important or significant decisions in taking stock, because it looks like there's a conflict or a struggle or a challenge of some kind, and it may be in the midst of it, or it may be leaving you feeling, like not enthusiastic about something, which may have been quite good or may still look quite good, but for some reason there's some kind of conflict or contention around it that's made you feel very not attached to it or very lackluster, not enthusiastic or excited about it anymore. Again, it could be a relationship, it could be a job, a career path. Because we have, at or towards the end of October, we have the Five of Wands and the Four of Cups. I almost reversed those. The Five of Wands is a card that can imply conflict, which fives can sometimes relate to. Conflict, contention, and challenge, but they also represent the biggest opportunities for growth and evolvement too. I know that's the last thing we really like to hear, or when we're in the midst of some kind of conflict or challenge, other people saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. It kind of makes you feel like punching them right in the face. But honestly, I don't know about what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, but honestly, conflicts and challenges do present a rather significant opportunity for learning lessons and growing from that as well. So the Five of Wands can represent conflict. It can often represent petty conflict though, because it can also represent competition. You can see that the men in this circle are sparring. They're using practice weapons, not real swords. They're not out to kill each other. They're sparring for the purposes of, winning, competition, getting better. But it can represent in terms of conflict, petty conflict, because there's not some major important, really super important thing at stake, although it may feel like it is. But nobody's willing to compromise and negotiate. Nobody's willing to elevate themselves. Nobody's willing to give an inch or step back or anything of that sort. So there's this endless circular conflict, maybe arguing over the same thing over and over again. Nobody winning, nobody losing, but that also means no clear solution or path either. Nobody's willing to go, okay, let's prioritize here. What exactly are we competing about for, or conflicting, fighting about? Is this really important? What's the really important thing here? So it can represent petty conflict. It can represent within a group of people, like maybe office drama or office politics, or within a group of friends, gossip, rumor mongering, that sort of thing. Petty conflictive energy and competition over something that may be made to seem important, but might not be that important when you take kind of a step back, big picture look at it. So what clarifies the Five of Wands is the Four of Cups. The Four of Cups, I sometimes call it my boredom and gratitude card. It doesn't necessarily have to represent boredom and ingratitude, but sometimes it can represent that the shine has worn off of something which used to be quite shiny. You can see that this young man is leaning against a tree. Now, he's dressed very nicely. His clothes kind of have that sheen of silk around him. Everything's symbolic in a tarot card. You could spend hours just going over one. So it looks like he's doing pretty well for himself. There's these three golden goblets by him, upright and full, and another one being offered out of the sky, almost like an opportunity or a new potential in front of him. But he doesn't seem particularly connected. Now, what this represents, it could be, again, a job that you got maybe a while back and you were really excited about it, but maybe the shine's worn off of it. Maybe there's a lot of conflict or competition or something going on, gossip, rumor mongering, politics, and it's left you just kind of feeling, not all that connected to where you're at. I'm not really happy with where I'm at, or I'm not really feeling plugged in because of all this conflict and all this struggle and challenge. And I'm taking stock. I'm looking at what I have and what I put into it, going, is it worth, should I continue with this? Should I make some changes? What should I do? And I feel like, and this may end up being a situation which you choose to remove yourself from. If it's a job, you may in fact choose to go to a different job, or choose a different career path or a different project, or leave whatever the source of this, conflict or contention is. As I always say, we live in a free will zone. But what I'm getting, at least for the next couple of weeks from Spirit, is that you should not make any decisions based on how you're feeling right now, because feelings and emotions are wonderful and terrible, but let's face it, they're malleable, they're fluid. They go up, they go down. It's not wise to completely base important decisions, significant decisions, life-affecting decisions based on our emotions solely. So the struggle looks like, kind of not doing that for the next couple of months, making this kind of keeping a sense of balance and grounding in the situation. Okay, there's all this going on around me, but this is who I am, this is what I'm about, this is where I'm going. While you're taking stock of it, but not being impulsive and hasty. I sort of get the impression, I'm feeling that you shouldn't make any significant decisions if you can help it for the next couple of weeks. And in addition to that, I mean, your overall energy for the remainder of October for the majority of you is the Nine of Swords, which is a card that comes up when someone is overthinking something to an extreme. If tens represent cycles ending, nines represents a lot, like getting almost there. The Nine of Wands, or the Nine of Swords, represents a lot of stress, anxiety, fear, concerns, doubts, because Swords is air energy, stress is air energy too. Swords is air energy, and in the tarot that represents its cerebral, mental, intellectual, psychological energy. It's all about what goes on up in our heads. So in the tarot, air energy, swords, usually relates to how we think about something, a belief system, ideology, how we see something, perspectives, perceptions, because that affects how we look at everything, the world, and that affects how we relate and communicate outwardly. So the Nine of Swords, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning. She should be asleep, but she's not, because she's completely consumed with, maybe thoughts going around and around in a circle. The Nine of Swords is mostly illusionary energy, meaning that whatever the source of your fear, valid, or concerns, or whatever the situation is, this contentious, conflictive energy, might be valid. But the Nine of Swords represents you're making it worse in your head than the actual reality of the situation is, really. The owls are one of those universal symbols of wisdom, insight, clarification, a solution perhaps. She can't see that owl that's sitting very close to her on the windowsill. She could just about reach out and touch it. She's not even noticing it's there. Why? Because she's completely focused on whatever the source of her fear and worry are, going around and around and around in her head until it gets to be this great big huge thing in her head and the sky is going to fall down. But reality, it's not. The Nine of Swords is a card that usually represents pre-writing a script for a future which hasn't even unfolded yet. It leaves no room for divine timing and orchestration here. If I do this, what if this happens? If I do this, what if this doesn't happen? If I don't do this, what's going to happen? It's just kind of take a hot bath, a hot shower, open up a bottle of wine or something, Scorpio, because it's not all of that. So, for the remainder of October, it's all about kind of not allowing whatever the source of this conflict or challenge or struggle is lead you into making a decision based on a quick, overview of something, and which might lead you into a decision you might regret. And that's further underscored by the advice card I pulled, which is the King of Swords. This is a card I pulled for advice, so I'm not really going to read it like an actual person. I mean, for some of you, it might represent an Aquarius, Gemini, Libra person, Sun, Moon, or Rising that you could get help from. But as advice, energetically, the King of Swords, kings and queens have mastered their suit. That's why they're kings and queens. So they've gotten over themselves, and they've gotten a handle on the character traits which are inherent to their suit. So the King of Swords, it's very clear thinking, very insightful, very wise. He takes his time in thinking about things. He does not tend to be emotionally impulsive or spontaneous. He carefully weighs things out before making a decision, because that's what the energy of Swords is: truth, enlightenment, higher education and learning, how we think about things. And he's walked a long road to getting to this crown, to being a king. So he's mastered control over that. He's all about being contemplative and reserved and thinking very carefully before making decisions. So that's your advice for the month, which kind of fits the entire reading. So Scorpio, that pretty much wraps up your October 2018 mid-month general readings. I hope that you found it useful. Again, if any of you are interested in a more personal one-on-one reading with me, live or recorded, please feel free to email me directly at Maggie1McGuire@gmail.com. I would be most happy to work with you. I do a wide variety of readings in all areas of life, including love and romance, compatibility, reconciliation, career, work, and finance, investment. I also do 6 and 12-month overviews and gift readings, and those are all particularly popular towards the last few months of the year as we're transitioning towards the end of the year, looking at the new one. Uh, so consider those as well. And you can also find me on the smartphone app Instantgo under Irish Gypsy for quick answers to the quick, easy questions. All that info you can find by clicking on the little description bar of all the videos I post, or clicking on the little About button that you'll find on my YouTube channel's homepage. So I will see you all again in a couple of weeks, Scorpio, for the November 2018 general readings. Until then, as always, I wish you joy, peace, blessings, and a happy life. Take care. Bye-bye.